Testing, testing. Is this thing on? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that the entire time because that will get annoying. Hi, I'm Flintworth, and welcome to Creature Workshop, the show where I go and help my viewers brainstorm all kinds of crazy things for, well, our favorite tabletop RPGs, like D&D, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, Equestrian Tales, if you like My Little Pony, whatever. And most recently, I was asked by one of my viewers about how to go and create stuff, how to run, I should say, more appropriately, a game inspired by the creatures, the game mechanics of, well, the famous Cuphead. The show where, not only the first video game, now show, about a simple Cup and his brother, Mugman, who get on the wrong side of, how would you say, the devil, and basically, to not go and give their own souls to the devil, they go instead and basically become glorified debt collectors. But more importantly, the game itself is a kind of a platformer / battle royale extravaganza, where you and maybe up to one other player can go between various stages, fighting all kinds of, well, wonderful, quirky bosses. And what really kind of makes the game, to me, shine above, on top of all the mechanics, not necessarily above, but along with the game mechanics, is the fact that all the characters are inspired by various classic cartoons. In fact, the game itself is mostly cell animation to go and animate everything else. And over the last few weeks, I've been giving my thoughts not just on Cuphead, but also a little bit on Mario. And I've decided that this month is officially my platformer month for Creature Workshop. Just last week, I went and gave my thoughts on how you would go and, well, at least on the player side, capture the whole platformer aesthetic. Not just like a gameplay. Because if you played anything like D&D or any kind of tabletop RPG, a lot of it is, well, RNG-based, dice-based. Because it's mainly meant as a sort of, well, turn-based strategy. It was originally a war game that kind of made sort of this whole genre. And personally, as someone who wanted to go and help recreate truly Cuphead, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all, because so much about Cuphead is about dodging attacks. It's about your own skills improving upon, constant defeats of fighting the various bosses. And to which, last week, after some brainstorming on these shows, I went and developed what I call my platformer background. It's basically a simple rule set that instead of rolling dice, players instead would be using a deck of cards in place of their rolls. Not to use like a full deck of cards, but to sum it up, they would get essentially a full suit of cards ranging from ace up until king, of just all the hearts, spades, clubs, what have you. And whenever asked for a roll, they'll play one of those cards, take the value of that card, and add on all the modifiers to get their final roll. So if I played, let's say, a 10, added on my proficiencies and all the other modifiers, it could be ultimately a 15 or 16. And using a little bit of discarding and kind of craftable shuffling mechanics, it's in development. I felt like kind of helped kind of start to build up. It's not perfect yet, which is why, for those watching right now, namely you, Nick Nack, I see you here for the stream at the start. Power to you, buddy. Sorry I started late. It normally doesn't happen like that. OBS decided to go and update before I started stream, and me being a newbie in all this was not expecting all of the sudden change in my interface. I had to go fix that real quick. So thank you, either way, for your patience. But how was it going? Yes. Is that with using this whole card playing mechanic, which was inspired by my copy of the Bloodborne board game. You should check it out if you haven't already. But it's my hope that using a mix of mechanics like that, or maybe you can still use straight up your classic rolling if you want to. I'm not going to stop that if you would like to keep that. Actually, anything I make here today, if you want to watch it in now or later on after this has gone up as a recording, please, let me know your own ideas, your own suggestions, advice. This is a space meant to brainstorm newer, crazier things. So I am not an expert trying to proclaim my grand thought to you all. No. I'm here as a fellow DM, storyteller, giving my thoughts, giving my ingredients to the pot. And I am more than happy, more than willing to welcome you, my fellow creators out there, game masters, to throw in your own ideas, your own materials, to spice it up into some fantastic, wonderful soup. I don't know. I'm not really that great of a cook. But today, I am not going to be talking about mechanics or anything like that so much. No. Today, I wanted to go and actually break down one of my favorite bosses. So much so that I tried to cosplay as him with all the 5 minutes I had to quickly go through my closet. The one, the only, Captain Brineybeard. This lovable guy isn't too featured in the recent animation on Netflix. I think so far, I haven't watched the whole season 2 yet, but he finally had an episode featuring the lovable guy. Here I got a picture of him right here. 2 seconds. There we go. There he is. Where is he? There he is. There you are. Right off the Wikipedia from Cuphead.fandom.com. That lovable guy with his double peg legs, his eye patch, fantastic beard, red bandana, is, to me, I want to say like the quintessential Cuphead boss, I guess. I'm not saying it because I am an unabashed fan of pirates. Oh, no. I am saying that because he was the first boss I ever saw shown in any kind of Cuphead-related advertisement. I thought it was a quirky character design. I thought it was wonderful that, if you can see me, another picture of it. Oh, wait, I don't need to see it. Ah! No, there we go. I want to focus just on this. Come on, work with me here. Computer! Where is it? But the lovable guy, at least I think he's lovable, does his entire fight on top of that wonderful boat of his, which does open up as a mouth and all that. And when you talk about trying to design a boss for a D&D setting, there is so much to unpack there. Like, think about it. Most encounters with classic D&D monsters typically have, I don't know, one central kind of like maybe tanky central core monster. Let's say you might have like an owlbear or, I don't know, a dragon in the middle with a bunch of little add-ons that kind of like be mooks or, I don't know, minions to kind of like soak up some of the damage that the players have to all contend with. No, in Cuphead, it's just the players against one character, which, yes, it is a pirate on top of a boat, and they do technically don't really act together. They're separate entities. However, they do share the same health pool, like a lot of the bosses in Cuphead. And when I first started talking about this game, it was last month, I gave a few ideas, and it actually showed my methods of how I make bosses. Well, today, I wanted to show you the actual end product that I couldn't do on stream because this stuff takes time. It's kind of weird to do it on the spot with people, watching you. It's not interesting. It's basically watching someone fill out their taxes in a way. It's a lot of numbers crunchings, and you get the idea. So let me go and show you the stat sheet I made for my take on Brineybeard, who have lovingly titled Captain DebtBeard, because lore. Like I said, the whole reason behind Cuphead's ventures through the Inkwell Isles is to go and claim the souls of those who are indebted to the devil. So I thought that would be a fitting title for my pirate. I would want to bring up that the sheet I made up, though it is designed after the dear captain himself, it's, to me at the very least, something that I could see you repurposing. I will be sharing this after the stream in the description down below. So if you're watching this now, check back. Probably tomorrow morning we'll have it all set to go. Or if you're watching this pre-recorded later on, by all means, go and it should be there already for you to go look at. And as you can see, it's kind of simple. It's small. It's not a great big one. That is by design. Here, I'll walk you through it. So first and foremost, if you've never seen a classic D&D stat sheet before, well, let me give the quick rundown. Oh, this is what most DMs, most game masters see. From left to right, we have his name, armor class, all the lovely stats, abilities, his saving throw, proficiencies, all the condition immunities, which, yes, I put down that he's immune to every possible condition under the sun within D&D, and that is by design. I do have him down as a challenge of 12. I'll explain why in a second. And on the right, we have the abilities as well as the attack actions. Now, when I designed this, I wanted, in my mind's eye, if I was going to go run a game based on Cuphead, I wanted it to be, okay, kind of in line of what the players would be level-wise. And to me, because Brineybeard is featured on the third isle of the game, or I guess like the third world, if you want to use like Mario terminology, I figured that, okay, if I was to make this Captain DebtBeard a part of a campaign, or even a one-shot, probably more a campaign is my mind where I was going with this, is that this will probably show up, near the later half of your whole campaign itself. So I designed him to be suitable against a party of 4 level 10s, to which I went and found a few monsters to kind of base his hit point total as well as challenge, which, if I did my math right, using the wonderful service known as the Kobold Fight Club, which, if you were here for my prior conversation, Cuphead is one of my go-to sites for determining. Here we go. Let me show you. To determining stat lowdowns for whenever you're designing combat encounters. It does all the work for you. It's really handy. It's at koboldplus.club, and all you have to do is go up here, add in your players, your level, and it almost instantly gets you on the run going. It's cannot recommend it enough. If you want more of how you'd use it, I would suggest looking up my prior video on designing bosses. As for Brineybeard, or DebtBeard, because I wanted to create something that, if I wanted to, my free time for me and my friends, to have like, hey, here's Brineybeard, there you go, you can have that. But if I wanted to create my own pirate, I could do that as well. I'm always a big proponent of that. If you're going to go and create your own homebrewed stuff, don't go for imitation, go for recreation. That way you can use it in multiple occasions. You also don't get sued and get your stuff taken down. Because this is, I'm not trying to remake the game. I'm getting away from the topic at hand. So yes, this was designed to be for a party of 10 players, of 4 level 10 players, which is why I gave him a nice sizable hit point average of 133, which equals out to be 14 d8 plus 70. Strength, I gave him more of a boost to strength and dexterity because, like most Cuphead bosses, they hit hard, and even if your players will be having life totals like a usual player character would in tabletop, I can't really see you were in a game where your players had the same health totals as Cuphead and Mugman, because it would basically take like 4 hits and then be out. That's no fun, especially in a role-playing setting. But more importantly, if you do manage to go and actually roleplay with the guy, because D&D be D&D, they can maybe talk the way out of this whole fight altogether. I made sure I gave that guy the very low intelligence and wisdom. I mean, he's a pirate who lost his soul to the devil. I can't imagine he's very wise. But as for saving throws and skills, I try to throw in a few things that you could use to really make him hardy, make him tough. I give him some intimidation and persuasion bonuses in case you roleplay with them, but the main part was I wanted to kind of emulate the fact that the Cuphead menagerie of pain, as it were really, they're tough, they're hardy, they hit hard, and I wanted to show that in this. Which is why, in the conditioned immunities, I made it so this guy, like, and technically all the bosses, they can't be stopped by statuses. Now, you gotta think about that. That is an awfully important thing to have in there, because one thing I learned running campaigns based on, well, more horror-centered things, like I based the entire game once on Crystal Lake from Friday the 13th. I learned very quickly that what I envisioned for this story, which would be a kind of a classic slasher, all my players running away, thinking carefully to outsmart the guy being my killer, turned into almost at times kind of like a Scooby-Doo slapfest, because D&D, like a lot of tabletop RPGs, depending on what you use, come equipped with various ways to kind of take control on the boss. Things like Crown of Madness could see you going from like, I'm gonna attack you, to, oh gosh, not even like my big boss evil guy, to not be puppeted around. That's kind of what I want. This should be a game, a battle about them dodging my attacks. So hence why I made sure the conditioned immunities bleh, showed that. They can't be slowed down, they can't be frightened, grappled, what have you. The only way to take these guys down is to beat them up a shit ton. However, this is where I can see my whole card mechanic kind of helping balance this out. Because the whole point behind using cards to choose whatever your rolls are means you put the power into the player's hands on when they should attack, or how well they should attack. Because if you think about it, in the video games, in your classic platformer, they are using their skills, their knowledge, and how to time their attacks, learning the patterns of your bosses, your enemies, or their enemies, I should say, to wait for the opportune moment to get that killing blow in. Now, granted, in Cuphead, there's abilities that allow you to hit the boss no matter which way you're aiming. Other times you need to have the exact lineup. And I wanted to make sure that you could still get that with this kind of a fight, hence why I gave the armor class of just 12. I could see you maybe bumping it up if you wanted it to really make more of a challenge, but frankly, the best way to make any of these bosses you may run in this kind of a game a true challenge is just get them more hit points. Because Cuphead is the game, not the character, is all about really a war of attrition with maybe it's bullet hell. It's about seeing how long you can outlast, and ideally, hopefully outlast the boss before they take you out with ever-increasing amount of projectiles they may throw at you. So, which is why one of the key things I gave my boy, DebtBeard, two abilities, two key ones, which would be the classic Berserk, as well as one I designed called Build Up. Berserk was meant to exemplify the classic Brineybeard fight, where partway through, I would say the third stage, the ship gets angry and just goes on the rampage. That's what Berserk's meant to do. This is like DebtBeard himself, or maybe you can apply it to something on the deck himself, because when you use a character like this, almost the whole ship is the captain. But I wanted to kind of, give that possible final explosion of attack that DebtBeard could go and throw at his foes. Winning that down, though, I should have gone in and changed a few things. See, this is why I try to do this beforehand, because stuff like this could come up and you have to kind of think of all the wording. Because if you look at Berserk, actually no, I take it back. Yeah, attacks nearest creature with can see. Yeah, it's all about attacking creatures and really do much to rolls. Okay, I was worried there for a second. Okay, let's see here. But the big thing is, I should point out, is build up, because Berserk is just flavor to keep the fight similar to the one from the game. In this case, though, build up's the big thing, because look down in the actions. I'm not sure if you've taken the time to read them now. All of my actions are basically a option between really attacking at a close range or far away. Because if you think in Cuphead, that's really the kind of option that the guys do. They don't really come up and get a direct hit on the boys themselves, the players, I should say. So I try to kind of recreate that, except with the multi-attack. Yeah, they do get 2 attacks with either a pair of melee or ranged. However, they can't use more than a pair twice in 2 consecutive attacks. So in layman's terms, I made it so that it's DebtBeard's turn. He does 2 melee. Cool. Next turn of his, you can't do 2 melee once more. It's going to be arranged. I did that so the players could start to learn the pattern, which at this point is really simple. I would advise by this point you actually would have probably more different kinds of attacks to work in there, but keep it so that your players could have a good idea of what could be coming next. So they can maybe ready their certain cards to weather the storm. And I say weather the storm because the thing is, with these cards, half their the cards in their hand, they might have a good old time dodging it, but it still means they have at least half their hand or half their mini deck is cards that could give them frankly crowd rolls, which begs the question: do they go and give themselves a good hearty chance to miss that attack, or do they take the hit, which in this case could be as bad as almost 32 points of damage in one turn? Because for every attack, it is a dexterity saving throw. Yeah, it's brutal in motion, but it can work. I'm going to go through an example of how this whole round of combat could play out in a second. But the key things I want to point out here is that each of these attacks, melee and ranged, each come with their own dex saving throw of 12. Now, 12 is not that high for players to beat. It's actually, frankly, kind of low. It's almost like guaranteed to succeed, especially if their characters are like level 10. That's gonna be no problem for them. However, in build-up, the more damage this boss takes, the greater those dice checks become, going from 14 up as high as 18, which can be quite a bit. Can be quite a bit. So, here, let me show you how this character sheet would work in motion. I'm gonna go bring up my playground and roll 20, because though I've heard many great things about D&D Beyond, I started my online DMing career in Roll20, and I spent way too much money in there now to switch to anything else. I clarify it that way because I don't want people to think this is a sponsor when they haven't paid me a dime, so... Not that it's bad. It's actually kind of good in some ways. Anyway. So we're going to Roll20. I'm going to go and just give us a just basic little battle map here. Alright. Now, time to use a little bit of your imagination here. But. Here, let me go get a barbarian. Let's see here. There. Oh, let's just need just any kind of thing. Let's give myself a bandit. That's the closest I can get on a short notice. Here you go, bandit captain. Perfect. Don't need this. I just need my boy. There we go. A little placeholder character here. Where'd he go? There he is. Okay. So, let's say this was your grand old fight with your Captain DebtBeard. Got your little dock. We'll say that everything next to him is just good old water. So, I'll do that. And there we go. Actually, just put that to that layer. Make that. And to map layer with you. There we go. Cool. So, simple dock. Got the captain on one side, and we'll just need a few quick players. I think for time's sake, I'll use my the Onryo I made a few weeks ago. Toshiko. Actually, I don't think I have a token for them. That is fine. I'm just gonna go and well, I think I saw a Bard earlier. Let's use one of those. There we go. We'll save this. Come on, load him in, please. There we go. Perfect. That these two are my figurative cup boys. Okay, bear with me here. So the left one we'll say is Cuphead with the red, and the one on the right will be our placeholder Mugman or player 2. So, in this little fake combat encounter, the fight has begun. And begin with our DebtBeard here at the very top. It's going to start off the fight. I'm going to go to my little thing here. I'm going to read up to see, okay. He's going to do a multi-attack. You know what? He's going to stay on his far side and use a ranged attack. Now, that's a good, that reminds me, I should have brought up earlier. The reason why I just have it be generic melee or ranged is because I left it that way so that DMs, game masters, or whatever title you pick, storytellers, could then use whatever flavor they'd want to emulate the attacks they may have seen in game or make something else they thought that boss could do. For instance, I know old Briney here often attacks with a little octopus that he fires off with. Well, let's say I want DebtBeard to do the same. This is where I would use ranged, which has all this. This just has just the basic stats, no flavor, allowing me to make whatever ranged attack I want. In this case, I'm going to say Brineybeard go. It's not my Brineybeard. DebtBeard just punches to the ground, reaches into the water, and pulls out an octopus. Okay, not really original, but just bear with me. I'm trying to go for an example here. And it's going to go and fire off one shot at player 2 here, Blue Boy. Now, Blue Boy, using my platformer background, will have a full deck of cards in their hands. So it'd be 13, ranging from ace up to king. Now, Mug Boy is more cautious here. Player 2 is more cautious, so he's going to go and play one of his higher cards, a 10, 2, and just going to discard to the side, so you can't use it the next roll. Plus all his modifiers, he passes. He misses, he evades the shot from the octopus. Okay. DebtBeard, not really, really caring too much yet about going on the attack. Points towards player 1, Red Boy, goes with his octopus and blammo! Now, player 1, he's spent a lot of time in this game up to this point, picking up a lot of attack power. He is essentially a glass cannon, so he doesn't really care too much as long as he gets a nice blow next round. So, fine, yeah. Come at me. You already attacked Mug Boy or player 2 once already, so I'll just go and waste a 2 from his hand to that. Okay, you hit, whatever. Okay, and yeah, marks down that he took. I think it had it set at 15. Okay, he takes 15. Okay, who cares? That's fine. It goes down to 29. That's not so bad. Making it the boys' turn. They go up, do their attacks, or they be maybe player 2, Mug Boy. I'm just calling him Mug Boy for this point. Mug Blue. Is still playing cautious, but figures that if DebtBeard can't be that tough of a guy. He's a big guy standing still. Takes a 5, and he barely hits with a 12 with all his modifiers. Where do we need these numbers, he asks? I am making them up on the fly for this example. Cuphead Red is going to run up on his turn. And this is where he goes, yeah. He is going balls to the wall and throwing down with his higher cards for effectively the highest chance to attack, because why not? Does his damage, and oh man, does he go and really hurt DebtBeard. Taking about, we'll say, for the sake of time, roughly, okay, a good hearty 30 points of damage. He basically brought DebtBeard down to 3/4 health, which activates already his first health build-up bonus because he takes more damage. Maybe if the players are throwing a little bit of flair here to go and set themselves up, but it's DebtBeard's turn again. And he uses ranged last turn, so he has no choice to use his melee. And old Cup Boy has been kind of a jerk. So that's where he's going to go and maybe signal his barrel like he does in the original game he was inspired by. Or maybe he just goes and headbutts the cup with his melee attack. Either or. Cuphead, thinking not too much about it, looks at his cards and realizes, let's say, oh god, he used up all of his high cards to attack, and now he has nothing to really defend himself, to beat the dex save of 14, causing him to take both blows. In that quick example, I'm hoping at least a little bit of what the card balance really comes to be important. Player 1 should have maybe gone about sparingly using some of their higher cards for defense. Maybe player 2 should have attacked more. Who knows? So much could happen up to this point. So much could have changed based on so many different factors. Bottom line is that I'm hoping, if nothing else, a little bit of my card in place of rolls kind of comes into a bit more clear, and my, well, trading off the attacks with the boss, with having ever increasing dice saving throw checks being improved by damage they may take. At this point is where I kind of go up to any kind of questions from those who may be watching, or any suggestions to make this even better. I intend to go and keep thinking up ideas how to do all this. I don't think this is the end. I mean, like I said earlier, having the boss being forced to trade off between a melee and ranged is a way to kind of like start setting up a pattern, but on a boss that's supposed to be hard for level 10s, I imagine at least would have like maybe 3 or 4 other kinds of attacks. I'm not sure how you would label those as maybe, oh, I have a melee attack, a ranged attack, and maybe an environment and minion attack, because the Captain Brineybeard has so many different elements to it. Like a lot of the fights on the Third Inkwell Isle. Not to mention there is the whole conversation of trying to work in the fights where the players are on some movable object. Like there's the whole one with the blimp fight, the moon, the genie, are all on top of some sort of plane or what have you. It's a whole different ballgame. That's more bullet hully than what I had going on there. The key thing is that if you're looking to go and design anything for D&D based on some kind of game that is like, more traditionally some other kind of play style genre, is that I would say, let's say this. One, expect to get it wrong at least once or twice. There's a reason why so many playtesters go out of their way to test things before they get printed in the books we see by Wizards of the Coast or what have you. It is certainly not going to be a cut and dry kind of thing. Don't be afraid to really talk to your players, to speak with them, to get a feel, a vibe of what works best when they saw on their side of the screen, so to speak. But by that token, I would also really point out for you to not be afraid to try to make something else that's not really homebrew. Yes, I've seen the D&D community, I'd say like the whole fandom overall, the hobbyists in this whole gaming life have a mixed feelings towards homebrew stuff, and it's understandable. But I want you to discourage those out there for trying, for see what they can make. I mean, if you think about it, Gary Gygax, the guy who made D&D, he's passed on ages ago. He is not here to this day still making content and modules for our favorite pastime. People had to replace him. He had proteges, he had fans who took the time to take what was once made and try to improve upon it, to make it their own. And that's effectively what you would be doing here. So that's why I would say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get on out there and try to roll the dice against the homebrew gods, the D&D gods, because your idea, your creation could be the next big thing that people like me online trying to talk about and give people advice on. So never hurts to get creative, in my opinion. I was going to also bring up at this point, if there are no questions right now, which is fine. The reason why I put these up as recordings, so if you have questions after the fact, please put them down below. I am a glutton for responding to people's comments. I'll just ask a few of my viewers. I almost neurotically sit there on my phone at times, just looking like refreshing, hoping that someone gets back to me, or I can get back to them. Further reading is what I was trying to get to. Further reading that doesn't hurt to do when trying to design stuff like this is really play games. Not just like D&D or some tabletop, or even Cuphead. Play any kinds of games. My whole idea for my platforming rule change abilities came from me playing a board game based on a From Software title, a Bloodborne game. So who knows what more you get from there? It's always helped my creation process by looking at how other people have done it and trying to glean and analyze how I can do the same and maybe use it for my own. I would also suggest certainly reading up on maybe some pirate stuff if you're looking to do Brineybeard. There's a lot you probably can get from to kind of spice your game up that maybe the classic Cuphead game didn't do. And hey, speaking of inspirations, watch some old pirate cartoons, watch some Popeye. Well, actually, that would be kind of a cool fight. Taking something like this and reframing it around a classic Popeye versus Pluto kind of thing. There is so much you could do with a goofy platformer battle throwdown that I could probably spend hours just brainstorming, which can get dull. So I'm going to stop it, I think, here for today. Which is fine. Kind of tired, to be honest. Been a long week of editing. Been working hard. For those who follow me with my Creature Creator series, which is my video guide series, that's all pre-written, pre-planned, and typically horror-based. And my latest video, which will be most likely finished being edited tomorrow, should be on running a game that recreates a story based on Hellraiser, which I'll probably have out on my channel on Monday. I will be back here again next week at 6 p.m. CST on Friday. I'll probably be switching back to the Mario verse to talk about Koopa Troopas. I've been giving some thoughts there on how you can go and use the already what's been out there content-wise from Wizards of the Coast to kind of save you some time having to figure out how to really make up stat blocks for a bunch of different monsters. Because my mom always said the best tools you have are the ones available to you. And I would encourage, if you got anything from today, to check that out, if not live, after the fact, because there are levels in Cuphead that are based on classic level scrawlers. We have to go from start to finish that I could see in my next workshop being kind of useful, because I'm going to talk about how to do a little bit of like level layout, kind of a race to the end kind of thing. I'll be bringing up a bit more my whole platformer thing. So if you're watching this now, once again, I'm suggesting that out. It's only a half-hour watch, not that bad. And otherwise, yeah, I think I've rambled enough today about a crusty pirate from a hit video game slash Netflix animation show, which you should go check out. It's great. Got a lot of great, oh god, worked on it. A lot of great voice acting. Me and my fiance LRChickadee have really been adoring tuning into that. But otherwise, yeah. Thank you for watching. At some point, some more of my past videos are usually popping up on the my right, your left side of the screen. If you haven't yet already, do consider, scrolling down a bit and hitting subscribe. I mean, you don't have to. I don't hate you if you don't. Frankly, I still think you're beautiful and I love you either way. But hey, it helps out people like me to make more of these things. Please? Pretty please? Piratey pretty please? Cherry on top? Nah, don't worry about it. Either way, thank you for watching. I hope to see you, if not here, maybe somewhere out on the high seas. Who knows? I have rambled enough. Time to go take a nap. Maybe have some rum. Who knows? Either way, have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. Behave yourselves out there, and may all your 20s be natural. That sounded way dirtier in my head than it did in my mind. Oh, God. All right. That's it. Bye. I was about to click on